You want to hear the real story? Not the version they write in fancy columns or wrap up neat for the evening news. I mean the mess, the raw nerves, the parts you only admit to yourself in the shower when no one's around. Let me back up a sec because the first time I heard, "Wipe it spotless, you black girl, and maybe I'll let you sit in the leather chair," I was on my knees on that cold marble floor, rag in hand, my whole body aching. That was Franklin Prescott, yeah. That Prescott, with a suit probably worth more than my family's car. He brushed past me, so close his cologne hung in the air long after, and I knew better than to look up, because I'd learned eye contact was an invitation for him to dig deeper, to try to get a reaction. And the wine steward, Victor, oh, he wasn't going to miss his moment either, holding that fancy decanter, whispering, "You'll never know this scent, women, like you don't sip this. You mop it up." It's funny how the humiliation of being spoken down to can cling to you more than the smell of bleach on your hands. Sometimes I'd scrub so hard I thought maybe I could erase myself right out of that place. You know what I mean? Now, I'd daydream about storming into the Department of Labor, notebooks stuffed with dates, times, every insult, imagining them slapped on a desk, headlines screaming about what goes on behind gilded gates. But those daydreams always hit a wall, the memory of my mom. Her tired eyes, prescription bottles lined up on her nightstand, and my little brother David's college acceptance letter still taped to the fridge. That paycheck, as measly as it was the lifeline. Silence was the cost of keeping it all afloat. That night the house sparkled for some charity bash, chandeliers blazing, laughter rolling down the halls thick as perfume, and I floated through the crowd like a ghost, balancing trays and dodging comments that landed like little paper cuts. "I hope you didn't touch these with your bare hands faster, sweetheart, or you'll lose your tip." My mom, quiet as a shadow, brought homemade soup and hovered by the kitchen door, watching. You think your kids don't notice things, but I felt every flinch in her heart. But there's always a breaking point. Some gin-soaked guest dropped his crystal glass and grinned. "Oops, clean it up for me, darling." And as I was scooping up the shards, he shifted, bringing his shoe down hard deliberation my hand. Pain shot through me, and I saw the blood bead, but before I could even breathe, my mom burst out, voice thunderous, "Get your foot off my daughter!" The room froze. Prescott stormed over, anger etched deep in his face, and in one swift move, he shoved us both toward the door, yelling about how we'd ruined his evening, how he paid for service, not drama. The slam of that front door behind us felt final, the night air biting at our skin as we stood on the steps, my hand throbbing, my mom shaking with rage and love. We started toward the staff quarters, ready to gather my things, but then a whole world changed. Orange light flickered in the window, shadows leapt wild against the curtains, and then someone screamed, "Fire!" A kid, it turned out, had knocked over a candle into a stack of linen napkins, and flames roared up the drapes faster than you believe. People poured out, coughing, gasping, but Franklin Prescott was missing. Someone yelled, "He's still inside." And for a split second, my mom and I looked at each other and knew we could walk away, but we wouldn't. We dropped our bags, ran back through the side entrance, ducked under the smoke, and found him slumped in the hallway. Together, coughing and stumbling, we dragged him into the cool night. I still remember the applause, the shouts, the paramedics rushing in, the firefighters swarming the estate, and Prescott humbled, for the first time sitting beside us on the back steps, face smeared with soot, saying quietly, "I owe you my life. I've been a damn fool." Maybe you expect me to say everything changed right then, like in the movies, but that's not real life. Sure, he covered my mom's medical care, paid David's tuition, offered me the job of head housekeeper with full authority, but the bruises on your spirit don't fade overnight. In the days that followed, the grand parlor stood charred and blackened, the air thick with the smell of smoke and the weight of everything unspoken. The staff walked carefully, faces drawn. I sat in the tiny staff room, looking at my hand bandaged but still aching inside and out. My mom stirred her tea and told me, "Some people never learn until they're forced to," and I knew what she meant, but it felt hollow. Prescott kept his word, sure, but accepting that position meant facing him daily, a man who'd once humiliated me. Leaving meant sacrificing my family's security. It's the kind of choice you make with your jaw clenched and your eyes wide open. When Prescott called me into the drawing room, surrounded by contractors and insurance agents, his suit crisp but his voice stripped of arrogance. He tried to apologize, but I stopped him. It wasn't pride that made you treat us that way. It was power, and power without respect is just cruelty. He nodded. I'll do better, starting now. I wanted to believe him. The days became a whirlwind rebuilding, reforming. I called a meeting of the staff, chefs, cleaners, drivers, and said, we're a team. No one deserves to be treated as less than human. Marcus, the chef, cracked a little smile solidarity in the silence. But not everyone wanted change. Gloria, the house manager, warned me, you're walking a fine line. These people have influence. I met her eyes. So do we. Out in the city, word spread about the fire. Local news called it scandal. Naomi Park, an investigative reporter, found me and asked if I'd talk. Part of me wanted to run, but I thought about all the others who'd scrubbed floors and swallowed insults, and I said yes. We met in a coffee shop, cups of bitter brew between us, and I told her everything: the humiliation, the fire, the uneasy truce. This isn't just about one house, I said. It's about everyone who's invisible, silenced, pushed to the margins. Naomi's eyes said she understood. I want to make sure people hear that. And the story grew, first in whispers, then in headlines, rippling far beyond Beverly Hills. Inside the estate, respect started to mean something. When Victor, the wine steward, tried to belittle a new server, I cut him off. Respect is not optional here. He blinked, the message clear. Yet, old wounds didn't heal overnight. Gloria pulled me aside, saying, you're stirring things up. People are uncomfortable. I answered, then maybe it's time for discomfort. Community meetings started popping up, led by Pastor Brooks, teaching workers their rights. Sometimes I spoke, sometimes I just listened, feeling the shared pain and the hope. But the pushback came: letters from lawyers, subtle warnings, donors muttering about uppity staff. And always, Eleanor Whitman, the socialite, watching with a smile sharp as glass. The next gala was a test: crystal glasses, laughter floating, all eyes on me. During the toast, an intoxicated guest shattered a glass, and before I could clean it, pressed his shoe down on my hand, twisting hard. I gasped, pain and humiliation mingling as my mother burst forward again. Get your foot off my daughter! The room fell silent. Prescott, anger blazing, threw us out once more. That night, outside in the cold, I knew the line was drawn. Then the fire broke out again. And it was us, once more, who went back through smoke and fear to drag Prescott to safety. This time, the act couldn't be ignored. Prescott's apology was public. My mother's care covered, my brother's tuition paid, and I was formally made house manager. But it was more than a title now. It was a responsibility, a pledge. I started running secret staff meetings, bringing in legal aid, making space for everyone to share their stories. The fear began to fade, replaced by something that felt a lot like pride. When donors made snide remarks, I told them calmly, respect is not optional. Even Prescott started to change, hosting workshops on dignity, admitting his own faults. Was it real? I don't know. People change slow, if at all. But what really changed was the way the staff walked taller, how even the guests started to check themselves, how word spread and others came forward with their own stories. I realized the fight wasn't just for me or my family, but for all of us, for every person who'd ever been told to stay silent, to keep their head down. The last time Eleanor tried to warn me, not everyone wants to play by your new rules, I looked her dead in the eye and said, then we'll find new players. And for the first time, I think she believed me. Now, I can't promise the world changed overnight, or that there weren't setbacks, because there were plenty. But I can tell you that every act of courage, every refusal to be silent, every stand taken, it matters. It builds like bricks in a wall, until one day you realize you're not just holding the line, you're moving it. So yeah, that happened. And I'm still here, scarred but not broken, determined to carry that light forward, for the ones who came before and the ones who'll come after. And I'll ask you, because I need to hear, do you stand when silence is no longer an option? When dignity isn't just a word but a choice, a fight, a promise you make to yourself and those around you? I want to hear your take. Was it right to go back to save the man who'd humiliated us? Would you have stayed silent or spoken out? Let's talk about what justice looks like when the fire dies down and all that's left of the choices we made and the people we became. Drop your thoughts below because the story isn't over and your voice matters.